you guys hear that? It's just a mic check. It's just a mic check. So I plugged in my new condenser mic, and I don't know if you guys can hear me. If you can, blink once or let me know in the comments section. Let me get this set up. How are you developers doing? Hopefully you can hear me. These things are never not awkward. So let me go in here. Let me just check my settings, and then we will get it rolling. Checking in. Where are you guys checking in from? How's the weather? How's your 4th of July weekend going? If you're in the States, if you're not, how's your July 3rd going? A lot of people not working today in the States because we got that 3-day weekend. So cheers to everyone who has that off. Let me go in here and see what's going on. Oh, we have 7 people watching. Sweet. Cutscene says, me, I can hear. Great. Joey Gray blinked. Great. Donovan, what's up? Janos, how's it going? Okay, excellent. Great, great, great. How are you developers doing? Today's topic is based on a poll I started taking yesterday. The title of the poll is Game Development Overrated. And this is not a game channel. This is not a game dev channel, but game development, we hear about it so much. And in this field, we have opportunities to make games. And we're going to talk about some of those opportunities as developers, as web developers. You know, is it worth it? We have a lot of people chiming in on this topic, and we do have some aspiring game developers or former game developers and a few current game developers on this channel. But before we get into the meat of this video, I do have some announcements. Number one, RealToughCandy.io is on schedule. We are going to be going public with this platform. This is a new learning platform. This is not your father's learn how to code platform. RealToughCandy.io dropping in August to the public. That's next month, later in August, but August nonetheless. So excited. We're debuting, let's see, 5 courses plus some amazing benefits. We have a royalty-free library of videos, still photos, and music exclusive to members of that platform. Unlimited. We're going to be continuously updating this. And in fact, I'm getting some stock footage this weekend of the 4th of July festivities for fireworks and stuff. It is going to be so lit. No pun intended, or perhaps a lot of pun intended. It's going to be so lit on this platform, developers. We are so excited. I'm working hard with the team to make this happen, and just super excited to share it with you. More info on that coming soon, but I do want to just plant the seed that it's coming. Number 2, shout out to Sin. He is a faithful patron at patreon.com/RealToughCandy. He recently bumped up his pledge in a serious way. Thank you, Sin. And I have a new benefit for people on his tier. He gets a 30-second custom song played on a video. Yes, I am embarrassing myself in this fashion to show my appreciation for people who support the Real Tough Candy Network. So, Sin, sweet. Yeah, this is kind of like, so I have one of these camera covers, and it's like covering the thing right now. Sorry about that. If things were looking a little awkward. Okay, number 3 announcement. There's a video coming, publishing later today on this channel, right after this live stream. It's about Fiverr, and it's not a hit piece. We're actually discussing strategies for making money on Fiverr, and I discussed one of them in particular. So if that's something you're interested in, check it out. I will be very upfront with you, though. Fiverr, generally speaking, is just not a go-to option, but I know there are a lot of people out there who are like, Candy, how do I make money on Fiverr? Well, we talk about it in that video, and that's going to be, like I said, after this live stream. So stay tuned for that. Finally, number 4, Jim asked about Webflow. What is Webflow? Is it worth it? Webflow is kind of a mashup between Wix and WordPress. It's a WYSIWYG editor 2.0. So there's a lot of hype behind it, and you may have heard like the no code movement. That's all hype. So basically, this is a proprietary platform. It's, in other words, it's not open source. It's not like WordPress, and it's a drag and drop interface, and it creates some really cool things. It allows designers to create some really cool things. You can prototype pretty quickly with it. He wanted to know if it was worth it, or just some general thoughts on it. I haven't deployed projects with Webflow, and the reason for that is I tried Webflow because I was like into the hype. I was getting into the hype. I'm like, no code movement. So is it like AI based and stuff? It's not. It's just marketing. I mean, there are some really cool designs that I have seen with Webflow, but the reason they're cool looking is because the designer behind the design is designing these things. How many times can I say design in one sentence? 6, 7? The person behind Webflow is the one creating these awesome designs. It's not Webflow. And it just makes things a little faster for people who don't know how to code. But that's not always the case, because knowing a little bit of code does help. But generally speaking, I think if you're looking to like make faster projects with Webflow as a developer, if you know how to code, there's no reason to use Webflow. If you don't know how to design, if you're trying to get better with your designs, I don't think Webflow can necessarily help with that either. You're better off just starting with something simple. Like we were talking a few nights ago about prototyping and mockups in the Discord, and just using pen and paper. That's a really great start. It doesn't cost anything, and you can screw up as much as you want. And once you screw up, just flip the page. Whereas with a lot of these tools like XD or Balsamic, or gosh, there's just so many. Sketch. Well, Balsamic is for wireframes, but for any of these wireframes, mockups, or prototypes, you can design yourself into a corner very easily in some of these programs, even the ones that are relatively easy to use. Like XD has a pretty tasteful learning curve. Like it's you can get up and running it with it really quickly, but sometimes even with those simple tools, you're better off just using something a little more low fidelity. So Webflow isn't going to make you a better designer, and I don't think, if you don't have ideas in your head, Webflow is not going to help with that either. So for me, the bottom line from my experience, or for what I've seen and read, is that Webflow is more for a certain set of web designers who want to get their designs up and running, some custom designs. And if they know a little bit of code, all the better. So I'm not sure if that insight helped you at all, but just, I think the big thing for me realizing was that Webflow is just, it's like Wix, only for a more bougie set. Does that make sense? All right. So let's talk about today's topic. Let's see, you know what? Let's do a roll call. How's everyone doing? We didn't have a live stream last week. I was not feeling so great. I was a bit under the weather. Don't worry, it was not the Rona, from my understanding. I don't know. But let's see what's going on in the chat. Joel, Candace, what's going on? Candace says, just got home. Welcome home, Candace. Hope you had a good week. Antonio, hi there. I love your channel. You helped me a lot. Thanks. Thanks, Antonio. I appreciate that. Rebecca, what's up? Paradoodly-doo is our moderator at large today. She is working the chat. Thank you, Paradoodly-doo. So she shared the poll, right? So I ran this poll. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to transition right now to the topic, game development. What's up with it? Why is everyone talking about it? What's the status of games in 2020? Oh, it's going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. So if you want to take a look at that poll, I unleashed that poll about 22 hours ago, and I already have over 600 votes. Let me see. Let me refresh this to make sure I'm not talking out of my. Okay, I have 607 votes on this, and this poll is 23 hours old. If you want to check out the results, I'm not going to do I might do a screen share. I'm not quite sure yet. But if you want to follow along, Paradoodly-doo is going to be sharing that poll. All right. Raj says, are you from Germany? Certainly not to my knowledge. Let's see who else is here. Dana, how's it going? Dana from Jax, I think. I recognize you and your thumbnail from the Discord, a newer member to our Discord. Dana has been working from home, from my understanding, for quite some years. She has a lot of experience work from home. So that is great to see. She is here as well. Okay. So let's go to this poll. You know what? I'm going to do a screen share. The question was, is game development overrated? Now I'm on Zoom. Hold on one sec. Let me share this screen with you guys. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Bazoom. Okay, share. Can you guys see that? Hold on. Let me just make sure you guys can see this because I don't want to try anything. I don't want to get fresh with you. Let's, come on. This thing's lagging. Share the screen. Come on, YouTube. You can do this. Do it. Do it. So this is going to be like an awkward 30 seconds, developers. Also, can you guys see this mic here? There it is. You guys see that mic? This was a fresh arrival. I got this condenser mic. This is my backup AKG. Just giving it a test drive for this live stream. I hope you guys can hear me all right. I never know these things. Hello. Let me just, okay. Well, anyways. So the question was, is game development overrated? So far, 600 votes, 31% said yes, 43% said no, and 25% said maybe. Are you ready for the comments? We're going to go through these. So Leon Brown said, high competition to get into the industry means that companies have the power to exploit its workers. It's easier and safer to get into other forms of programming that are as creative as game programming, but pay better and allow you to work in a more respectful environment. That comment resonates. See, I don't develop games. I got into this phase last year of wanting to develop games. I wanted to learn C++, I wanted to learn the Unreal Engine, and I wanted to learn game development because there is so much. As someone else down here, just Savage Scientist, says game programming is a big select statement combining programming, architecture, algorithms, databases, optimization, AI, graphics, art, sound, HCI, and the kitchen sink. Love that comment. There is just so much that goes into designing even just an okay game that it was just too much for me. I thought, well, yeah, just learn a little C++, just download this Unreal Engine and I'll be developing games. I'll be a millionaire, next day. I see it all the time. Like, really? How old am I? That doesn't work like that. I did a video last year about what was this game? Red Dead Redemption 2 or something. And I read the article. It was about crunch time, the last month of this game being developed. These game developers sounded so jaded, so overworked, to the point of like seriously dying, like putting their health in serious risk, because those last couple of weeks of getting that game to the public or just getting it wrapped up is such an intense thing. And you're working like literally 20-hour days. Software development outside of game development, web development, in other words, for, this channel is focused on web development. So let's take that as an example. Web development is tough, but it ain't that tough. It ain't as tough as working 20-hour days, 7 days a week. There is crunch time with our projects, but it's not like that. We're generally not, working weeks on end, 20-hour days. I just don't see it. Do we work overtime? Do we get worked and abused in the office sometimes with getting abused with just everything? Yes, but not as bad as game developers from what I've read, from what I've seen, and from other people's stories. So Leon Brown's comment, I think, is spot on. Jay says it's cool, but I think the industry is a bit too intense. There are lots of stories about people working 16 hours, see, there you go, and then getting laid off. Yeah, that's the other thing. It seems like people are too willing to be exploited because they love video games. Personally, it looks even more difficult to learn than web development as well. Let me stop sharing this. We'll go back to the fish fry. Yeah, let's address that comment because this is an industry. Now, let's get something straight. Back in the day, gaming was a niche. It was a hobby that the majority of people they knew what it was. I'm talking about like the 80s. You had to spend money to get a home console or to get games. Nowadays, you can get them at Goodwill for $1, or you can pick up a PS3 for $50. Like the Nintendo, the original NES, the 8-bit NES back in the day, like in the 80s, was $100. It's a lot of money back then. It's still a lot of money, but you can play games on your phone. You can get games for free. So it was a lot more niche back then, and it was a hobby. Nowadays, that's transformed, and gaming is a lifestyle. And it's not a niche anymore. Like when someone says I'm a gamer, it's not like, oh, well, that's a cool hobby. It's just like, well, duh, you're a gamer. Like everyone's a gamer. Everyone plays games. Even my mom, like back in the day, she did not care for our Nintendo playing ways. But we took it to an arcade a couple months back and we had a blast. My mom was playing arcade games. She was rocking it. Everyone games. And so there's this huge demand for like people have made huge careers out of it just playing games. What's Twitch? What's Discord? Discord was made for gamers. Twitch was made for live streaming games. YouTube gaming, like billions upon billions of dollars in this industry. And so people, there's the huge demand, and then people want to be a part of it because it looks cool. But once they get into it, it's like, oh, this isn't so cool anymore. I'm working 20 hours a week. I'm 20 years old. People think I don't have a life. And so I'm stuck here. And it's not like these people are making $500,000 a year. They're making, from what I've seen, the numbers, now maybe someone can share some more relevant numbers, but from what I've seen, game developers are making no more than web developers on average. I could be wrong. I could be consulting the wrong information. So if anyone has any better info on that, let me know. But from my understanding, game developers, they're not getting rich, most of them, and they are being exploited. Christopher says it's all fun and games, pardon the pun, until it turns into work. Exactly. And that's the thing too, like going back to Jay's comment about people are willing to be exploited because they love games. It's not fun and games. It's like any other hobby that you try and monetize or make a career out of. Like there's going to be a lot of crap that you don't like doing that you're going to be doing. I can tell you, even in my broke musician days, like going to play places I didn't want to play, or going to play a song, people throwing out dumb requests that I didn't want to. It's like, well, I have to be like the stage monkey and do whatever they say and just like, pound the cymbals together and be like, yes, I'd love to cover Bob Dylan. Like, dude, I wouldn't, but that's what gets me paid. So I'm going to do it. And again, no one's getting rich on stage either, even though you're doing what people want you to do. Arik says, when I hear someone who wants to get into game development, I stop taking anything they say seriously from that point on. It's a nice hobby unless you work for Activision. Going back to Jay's point, there are a lot of stories about people working 16 hours and then getting laid off. How can you imagine? Can you imagine working for weeks on end, 16, 20-hour days, like 20-hour days? You sleep in the office. You wake up. You have no time to drink your coffee. You just roll out of your cot beneath your desk or roll out of the fetal position beneath your desk and go back to where you were designing that little treasure chest, that little 3D animation or that sprite or something. It's like, wow. Yeah. It's a nice hobby unless you work for Activision. What more can I say on that comment? Savage Scientist says game programming is a big select statement combining programming, architecture, algorithms, databases, optimization, AI, graphics, art, sound, HCI, and the kitchen sink. Love that comment. John Field says a lot of game development concepts transfer into AR and VR development, which is being used in a lot of different fields. Most importantly, medical. Interesting. Cosmic Louise says, I've never seen anyone overrating game development. If anything, I think it's underrated by people who think it's easier than it looks, especially 3D games with amazing graphics, storytelling, character design, and mechanics. I've seen a lot of gatekeeping, though. Technomancer says, having worked in game development, absolutely yes. And then Kashnik says, underrated. Interesting. Let's go to the chat here and see what you guys are saying about this game development. Cutscene says, my roommate is a game dev student and he studies day and night. He don't sleep. I want to see what he will make with that. Rebecca says, at this point in this economy, everyone is being exploited. Adrian says, web development is saturated and you are exploited too. Right. Compared to game development, though, do we have any game developers watching the stream right now? If so, shout out in the comments. The Bayless Co says, hey, Candy. Hey, what's up, Ian? Game dev does include medical and military, not just video games. That is a freaking awesome comment and something I'm glad you mentioned because I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right. And I have been reading over the years about gaming, the gamification of things, and how they can help with things like PTSD as it relates to military and civilian personnel. Specifically, I was reading, it was like a VA newsletter or something a couple years back. They were working on this game. No, it's not like, here, play Call of Duty. It's like, here, put on this headset and we're going to help you work through your trauma in a gamified way. That's interesting. That's interesting because generally speaking, and this is, this was my mistake even starting this stream thinking, okay, video games, like Call of Duty, what is it, Animal Crossing, collecting games at Savers for $3 a pop. Everyone always donates their, okay, this is like the game I always see at Savers and the thrift stores. Madden 2004 or something. It's got to be a sports game from 15 years ago. No one ever keeps their basketball, football, or baseball games. Everything, every other game, they're like, no, I'm going to keep this Mario Brothers, this Smash Brothers. Like, this is a collector's piece. Like the Madden, the NBA 2K, they're like, yeah, take it. I see those games continuously. But no, exactly. Medical and military and these other fields where game development is a little more compelling, because let's face it, does the world need another video game in the traditional sense? We have more games to go around for every man, woman, and child 10 times over. Like most games on these app stores, they're never even downloaded. Most apps in general are never downloaded, never used. But I mean, that might be a glib statement because we're always looking for like another awesome game. Like, who's excited for Cyberpunk to drop? And when is that dropping? Like, is it out? I got so excited about it that I just stopped paying attention, and I don't even know like when it's coming out. Something like that though, that's exciting. But for every Cyberpunk, there's 10, 20,000 games no one's ever heard of. Like, it's saturated. And it's so because of that saturation, it's tough to stand out. And it's not like web development or these other areas of software development where like, we need someone to work on our e-commerce cart. We need someone to revamp our intranet or something. So it is, I mean, it's a tough career field to thrive in, because as some of these people were saying in the comments, it's popular. A lot of people get the idea that it's going to be, as that person said, fun and games until it turns into work. And then it's crunch time, and people have that these companies have this responsibility to their stakeholders and to whoever to pump out these games. But as the Bayless Code mentioned, we're seeing other areas, medical, military, and others, where games can be used for a social good. It's interesting. It's interesting to see where they will be implemented next. And that's what's so fascinating about games, is that it's not just the logic. It's not just storyboarding. It's not just dialogue. It's a whole entire just collection of skills that that combination is only found in gaming. You will not find that combination anywhere else. And to see people who are talented using those skills to create a really good game, it's like, wow, there's magic in that. Please, people think I just sit around and do web development all day. I've been a gamer since I was a kid. Like, I started with a Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Gear, Game Boy, Super NES. I bought with my own money. Oh, that was a great purchase. It came with 1 game, 2 controllers, and that's all I freaking needed. What else? PS2, PS1, PS2, PS3. So I'm a little dusty though. I have my PS3. I don't have a PS4 yet. PlayStation isn't my favorite. I gotta tell you, I love the old school stuff. If I could do it all over, I'd just go right back to Super Nintendo because there's so many awesome games. But that's a side note. Let's see. What are the comments here? Michael Peer, what's up? Zen Masters, how's it going? If you need one skill to be a good game dev, creativity, bro, that's it. Rebecca says, I wonder if esports will get even bigger due to the pandemic. Yeah, I wonder. Zen Master says you don't need any degree for game dev. Opayemi Jonah says, yeah, but you have to source here and there. Azazel says, can you become a dev if you know HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and Python without a CS degree? Absolutely. And that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about with web developers doing game development. Because again, going back to the point that it's so mainstream, it's absolutely everywhere. You can't go anywhere online without seeing an ad for a game, somebody talking about a game, somebody playing a game, or some other reference to a game. Can web developers take advantage, or any other developer, any other programmer, kind of dip into game development and make some money or do something with that? Yes, because we now have the ability to make games on HTML5's canvas. Ooh, what do I mean? I mean, you can actually develop games with your web skills. There are tons of tutorials, free and paid, for HTML5 canvas games. And I'm not going to say they're easy. Ooh, I'm parched. Hold on. Oops. Sorry, this is really good. Shout out to Chiquito. He is my kombucha funder at large. This is Bloom, elderflower, jasmine, and violet. It's so good. You could conceivably, if you knew web development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we're not talking frameworks, we're talking the base. If you know front end, not full stack. If you can do front end development, you can develop a basic game. Is it going to sell 20 million copies? Probably not. But if you had the business skills, this is just like a whole laundry list of skills, but it can be done. Developing a game using HTML5's canvas, putting it on Facebook, putting it on social, even open sourcing it. It could be a good hook for something else you want to sell. It could be, what if you gamified, and I've seen this too. I've seen this was a really cool site. I remember what it was. I don't remember what company it was. It was for a creative agency, a digital agency. And on one of their pages, they had built asteroids in the browser. And it was so rad. It was so cool. It had nothing to do with their services. It wasn't a game development company. They built, your standard 5-page WordPress sites, but they had built this as a hook, and it got me hooked. I just can't remember their name. It definitely left an impression, though. It was really cool. So you can develop these simple games, put them on Facebook, put them on your site, use them as a hook, and use them essentially as a promotional item. But the problem I had with game development as a software developer is that it's such its own ecosystem. I use that word way too much, but it is such its own ecosystem that once you get started, it's like, how do I get out and back to my normal life? Because it's a rabbit hole for sure. Last year, like I said, I enrolled in this gaming course. It's really good, and they're revamping it. You build a couple games. You start with a really simple one, and then you build up and build like a tank game or something. It was these two British guys. They're so funny. They work so well together. Maybe someone can remember the name of that course, but it was C++. They teach you C++ and the Unreal Engine. And I made it about 10% in, and I'm just like, I can't do this. This is real. I mean, this is a full-time job, like doing legitimate game development, not to mention building like a game by yourself is really hard, like a full-fledged using a game engine like Unreal or Blender or something. There's other ones, but those are the two biggies. It's a full-time thing. And that 3D modeling, going back to the comments here about on the poll, somebody mentioned 3D games. Cosmic Louis says, I've never seen anyone overrating game development. If anything, I think it's underrated by people who think it's easier than it looks, especially 3D games with amazing graphics, storytelling, character design, and mechanics. Yeah. Storytelling too. Like when you see the credits on some of these games, it's just like a movie. Like games are the new Hollywood. Games are the new music industry. The music industry has been dead for quite some years. And so what's taken its place? Games. What's taken the place of a lot of movies? Games. You see these credits roll just like I don't know, just like The Hobbit or something. Some of these games are so epic and so epically produced. They have dozens of people and from different countries and different contractors and different teams. It's crazy, but there's so much money in it that they just go all out. You know, I remember, gosh, this was like some years ago, Call of Duty, whatever edition had just dropped. And like the first week, it sold 20 million copies. Tell me that's not the new music industry. Tell me that's not the new Hollywood. 20 million copies. You know how much money that is? Kind of a lot. If you're selling the game, well, the retail, there's a lot of people dipping into this money, but if you're selling 20 million copies of a $50 game, even at a retail shelf, you're doing all right. You're doing a-okay. That was the first week. It like absolutely blew every record, every gaming record out of the water. And I'm sure that record's been broken since. Like this was like a lot. This was a multiple. This was like 2011, 2012, like late 2011. Crazy, crazy metrics. There's so much money. There's so much money. So you have to have a big team to make these huge blockbusters. Let's go to the comments and see where what everyone thinks about what they thinks. Matthew says artists of all kinds are flocking to game dev. Yeah, that's an interesting comment because again, the music and like when some of these industries collapsed, it wasn't just people directly in them. It was like the auxiliary people who write liner notes. You know, back in the day, they were actually music critics, people who got paid a middle class salary to write about their thoughts about music. Nowadays, that sounds so ridiculous. Like, seriously, someone's gonna pay you 70 grand a year to share your thoughts on an album? How about I just press play on Spotify or YouTube? Like, we don't need you anymore. We don't need those critics anymore. We don't, especially, and it's not just like the industry's collapsing, it's the rise of the internet where so many other voices can be heard and we can go to people who we want to hear rather than like, oh, here we go, another Siskel and Ebert review. Like, you want a review on Partly Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? There's like 10,000 of them. You don't have to buy a newspaper and wait 2 weeks to see what Roger Ebert or whatever that guy's name was thought about a movie. So people in these industries, they're no longer needed. And so that's the case with artists too. Artists and designers, people who used to be in the music video industry. Like when MTV was a thing, all of these people have creative inclinations. Where are they going to go? Not music. So they go to places like game dev, where they are selling copies. Like, but don't get me wrong. I was reading the Wall Street Journal article the other day about how the Rona has jammed everyone, but the live music industry, $40 billion industry, and it just keeps rising. Live music is huge, but it's recorded music is not. And the peripherals, if you will, the accents of what makes music work, they're just not there anymore. You can grab you can go knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey, can I grab your iPhone? I have to go shoot a music video. These creative processes have been so democratized and so easy to access. The barrier to access is so low that we don't need these specialists anymore. And so where do the artistic people go? Games. Good comment. Mahmood, what's up? Says, yeah, that's what I think too. It's not fair out here, to be honest. They ignore self-taught developers and hire people with computer science degrees in Egypt. Interesting. Main Street Studio, how's it going? Says you can make games with JavaScript in Unity too. Okay, cool. I did not know that. StatsBoss says sites like CodePen are also like gamification of coding. Interesting. That's a good comment too. Something I didn't think about. Exactly. Yeah. If you look around, I almost hawked a loogie into this microphone. Was that TMI? If you look around, it's just everywhere. And that is a good point too. I never even thought of that. Going to CodePen, which I don't know, I'm not like a hyper user. I'm not a super user. I go there a couple times a month just to see what's going on and maybe like experiment in CodePen. And you see a lot of pens where it's just like the simplest form of gamification, but also the simplest ways to engage you. Like, what's going to catch your eye? What's going to make you engage? A game. Gamify it. And even with these like animations in CSS, that's another thing. Animation with CSS and turning that into a game or a storyline or something. There's a lot of potential in that industry. And as Ian pointed out, the Bayless code, we're not just seeing it. Gaming has this, I mean, what's the first thing you think of when you think of games? Sitting in front of a PlayStation, rocking it out, playing a game, right? Having fun. But it's not just that anymore. It's spreading out to serious industries, and I'm using air quotes, like medical, military, etc. We're going to see more boundaries pushed with that. And just this was a few years ago too. I was reading some research on the effectiveness and efficacy, I guess maybe the word, of games on different people who needed help, who needed mental help. I talked about it like 20 minutes ago with the VA study, but there's a different study about how games can be used to help people train for military situations or other tactical situations. Like, there are a lot of ways to apply these laws and theories of games for different scenarios and different contexts. Let's go back to the comments here. Cutscene says, can a web developer slide to cybersecurity? Not easily. Cybersecurity is really tough. They do take certificates a little more seriously, and you can get certified. There are a bunch of them that are respected. Whereas with web development, if you have a certificate from Udemy, people are gonna be like, yeah, BFD. But there are more professional organizations that do issue certificates that are respected in cybersecurity. And yeah, it's tough. I think it'll be easier as a web developer than someone who's just like off the street being like, yeah, I want to check out cybersecurity. You're gonna have an easier time, but it's not going to be a smooth transition. It might be a smooth transition, but it is going to require a lot more learning and a lot more doing in different domains. Let's go back to these comments. Zen Master says, lots of game engines offer now programming or scripting in C#. Antonia says, how powerful is CSS to game development? I've seen very simple games use CSS animations, and I've seen more prototypes than anything. I haven't seen. Now, I have to give a disclaimer. It's not like I'm spending loads of time on this. It's, when I run into it or when the mood strikes me every couple of weeks, I'm just like, okay, what's going on with game development? What's going on with web developers in game development? And from what I've seen, most of the animations, the ones that are really high fidelity and really mind-blowing, I haven't seen them implemented into a game. I've just seen them stand alone, like on CodePen or something, where I'm like, whoa, some of these CSS animations are mind-blowing. Or just like people painting portraits with CSS or like recreating scenes. So artistic. They're beautiful. But I haven't actually seen them implemented into a game. When I do see CSS in a game, like on a Canvas API game, they're just okay. They're just okay. And the reason I think that is because just creating like some leaves to blow in the wind is going to take you hours. Just that one component. You need a team. You need a team to create even just a nice, acceptable game in HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Not to mention if you're doing something in Blender or, Unreal Engine. But the really good ones, the really good animations I've seen have always been standalone. And I'm looking forward to the day where we're going to see like the HTML game to rule them all, to just like blast away all these other games, be like, this was written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's awesome. Maybe it's out there. I just haven't seen it. Stats Boss says simulators are games, racing planes and drones. Creating a simulation of a popular robot or tech tool is always a good way to use code and create a game and create a business. That's a good comment. Yeah, racing planes and drones. Training. Yeah, exactly. For training purposes, I've seen games. Even in the military, I wasn't into game development at that time. Not at all. I wasn't into any coding at that time. But I was in places where you did see plane simulators, like these flying different scenarios and stuff. All that stuff was based on games, game development, simulating these scenarios. Andrew says, don't let the Unreal Engine put you off game development. The Godot, is it Godot or Godot? I say Godot. The Godot game engine is a great open source power engine and really easy to learn. Andrew, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have not messed with Godot. I've seen other people do tutorials on it, and it looks kind of sweet. See, now I'm like, I'm one of those programmers who's like, okay, my job is web development. I consider myself a software developer because I've built programs that are offline, desktop, etc. I've done a little bit of mobile, but my domain is web. But then I like, every time I see like a carrot dangling in front of my face, I'm just like, okay, game development, that's what I'm going to do. Like when people show me these different technologies and these different frameworks and stuff, and I don't mean Angular frameworks as in like just different ways of thinking, different frames of thinking and different frames of doing things. Godot, yeah, I want to check that out. I actually do want to check that out. Addie, what's up? Unity used to use both JavaScript and C# as scripting languages, but they deprecated that now. Now Unity only uses C#. Hey, we got Argentina checking in. What's up, Adrian? Let's see. Let's check out these comments. Developers, come on. If you're watching this, please do me a favor. Smash the like. Appreciate it. Keep this channel going forward. Let's see these comments. Adrian says, too sad. The market is being flooded with people. I think Udemy is to blame for this. Interesting. Zen Master says Python was also available for Unity, not anymore. Chillax Tracks, what's up? Says, what about the virtual space, VR, and 3D games? Yeah, there was a comment on this survey. Paradoodly-doo, pop that survey into the comments again, because somebody made a comment about VR. Let's see if I can find it. John Fields, a lot of game development concepts transfer into AR and VR development, which is being used in a lot of different fields, most importantly, medical. And that's something Ian had alluded to and mentioned earlier with the medical and military thing. But AR and VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, those are other two big, yeah. And this is what's most interesting to me about game development, is that, again, there's a huge industry. It's a multi-billion, just like loads of money producing entertainment for people going like this, which is something I like. I'm a gamer. Listen, it's not outlandish. It's 2020. Everyone games. This type of thing is what we usually think of, but we're pushing it into these different areas, and it's becoming more accessible to people like web developers. More people outside of that domain. You don't need to know C# to develop games. It really helps if you're working with these game engines, some of these game engines, but like we mentioned earlier, you can start doing stuff with Canvas. That's HTML. Now you need to know some CSS to make your graphics and some JavaScript to make things work. But now it's our domain too. And going back to that thing about the democratization of gaming, it wasn't just on a consumer level where it was democratized, it's on a professional level. Because not too long ago, producing games was the domain of game developers. But now anyone who programs can pick up game development because the languages are more flexible. There are more languages are available to you to produce a game, and the contexts are expanding too. And by context, I mean, well, like we were talking about earlier with medical, military, AR, VR, web, mobile. Like we didn't have mobile games. We had the Nokia Snake game 15 years ago, but aside from that, nobody, I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought you could play a full-fledged, like high fidelity, just graphics are mind-blowing on a handheld device? Well, we were kind of doing that with Game Gear, but that's what I loved about Game Gear developers. Listen, this is for my old schoolers. They will know. Only old schoolers need apply. The Sega Game Gear blew Game Boy out of the water for one reason. The screen lit up. It was a screen you could play underneath the couch as a kid and just be like, okay, I'm going to hide from my mom. I don't want to clean my room. Take the Game Gear, go underneath and play. You couldn't do that with a Game Boy. The LED screen was not lit. So that's what I just loved about it. And it had, well, I think the Game Boy did have a headphone jack too, but I know for sure the Game Gear had a headphone jack, and they had better games. They had Sonic, Street Fighter. The games were just so much better in my opinion. And it was nice and chunky. Like it wasn't just like me. I don't know. Game Boy is classic, but Game Gear just so much better. So much better. James Shackelford with this $2 super chat. Thank you, James. Wants to know, did you see Free Code Camp expanded their site? No, I didn't. Should I check it out? Let's check out this Free Code Camp. Like, are they doing game development now? Also, too, just out of curiosity, because this is a game development stream, where have you seen good tutorials for game development? Because honestly, the name of this stream is What's Up with Game Development. This isn't a positive or negative. I'm not trying to push it either way. This is a stream to explore game development and have a talk about it. You know, I'm pretty ambivalent about it. I find it very interesting, but I also know the competition is high, and I've chosen my path for right now. You know what I mean? I'm happy with web development. There's so much crap going on. There's so much crap to learn that I just feel like if I leave now and go to game development, I would screw up a lot of things. I mean, my business is built on web development, and that's how I make money. So there's no sense in making the switch. And it's doing game development as a hobby seems impossible. It just seems like it would take it. You just can't do it as like, oh yeah, I'm working on my game for 3 hours this week. Like, no, I'm working on my game for 60 hours this week. So I'm on the Free Code Camp website, James. What should I be looking for? Let's see. Where's the is it like with their certifications? Responsive web design. This all looks the same. Information security. That wasn't there when I checked before. Maybe I just wasn't reading it. But I did not see that. I will check this out later. Because my opinion on Free Code Camp has really changed over the years. One of my earliest videos was me throwing a fit because I couldn't figure out the Free Code Camp challenges, which, to be fair, they're really tough if you don't know how to code. But Free Code Camp has helped my career in different ways, in ways unexpected. So, and I think their community is really good too. And they're really good about including smaller creators on their channel. I've done 2 or 3 videos for them. I've seen smaller creators create tutorials and stuff. They have over 1 million subscribers on their YouTube channel, and they really help developers of all, you know, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it for a couple years, they still help you out, and it's free. So I have nothing bad to say about them. I really don't. They've been just awesome. Candace says, I still play my NES and Super NES when I want to get back to old school. Candace, I think that's my big hang up, is that there were so many great games produced. And I never got a chance to play them as a kid. So like, what do we have? We had 15 or 20 Nintendo games over the years, like original Nintendo, Mike Tyson, Super Mario 1, 2, and 3. Super Mario 2 was really weird. Zelda, Link, What else? We had golf. See, my dad is a gamer. Like he like old school. Like he was gaming before there were even computer games. Like he's big on those huge. We talked about this like the other week in Avalon Hill, the Avalon Hill games where it takes like 3 days for a campaign. We'd have these family reunions and all of his family are gamers. It's so awesome. They love to game. And they'd be doing these Avalon Hill campaigns for the entire weekend. I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go watch MTV. But yeah, there are just so many games that I never got to play, especially on Super Nintendo too. Man, Donkey Kong, I could play that game over and over. You guys, what was that? Pitfall or Pit something? This was a cool game because you were in a jungle. I think it was Pitfall. And you played this guy who was in this jungle. And in the jungle, obviously you had these different tasks to complete, but inside this game there was this Easter egg where you could discover the original 8-bit version on the Nintendo. So like you'd enter this world and then go play the 8-bit version. And it was, or was it the Atari version? It was even like pre 8-bit. It wasn't even Nintendo. I think it was Atari, but it was rad. Anyways, I'm being self-indulgent. Let's go to these comments. James says they added Python certificates. Really? Candace says, I still have Mario Kart for Super Nintendo. Love Mario Kart. The rainbow level where you're just like falling off the cloud, man, it was savage. My friend Gina, when we had sleepovers, we play that game and she kicked my butt and I would always fall off the cloud. It sucked. It was awesome, an awesome game, but I hated losing. Python certs. Free code camp. Look, I'm going to share my screen. We can check this out, okay? Let's see. Where's my freaking live screen share? Here we go. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to share this screen. We're going to check out these Python certificates because Free Code Camp has a lot to offer. And honestly, I'm really surprised that they don't have a game development cert. So the Python ones, James was saying they added some Python certs. Here we have scientific computing with Python. Interesting. Data analysis with Python and machine learning with Python. And coding interview prep for additional learning. Interesting. Machine learning. They're always doing some stuff. And I do wonder if they're going to be doing some game development. That would be cool to see. But I don't know, maybe I'll have to hit up Quincy or one of his team members. I forgot the guy's name who does the YouTube channel. Maybe I'll just shout him out. Hey, are you guys doing game dev? Red Rojas, hello. How's it going? Candace says Pitfall, the Mayan adventure. Candace, I wish I had my megaphone here because that is 100% the game I was thinking of. Yes, I love that game. I haven't played it forever. But I'm getting so enthralled talking about games. Super Nintendo has some awesome games. And so it's like, that's why I'm always slow to upgrade my console, because it's like, well, I have this PS1, I have this PS2, I haven't played all the games I want to yet. And can I just interject? Now, let me be self-indulgent and we're gonna get back to the actual topic. I have noticed this trend of all games going to like one player. I'm talking about PlayStation games. One player, or you can play online with a bunch of people you don't know. There's never the 2-player in-person option. For PlayStation 3, there are all but, I don't know, 4 fantasy games that, like, there's Diablo, there's Fallen, Sacred Angel, I think it's called, or Sacred Fallen Angel. Whatever happened, I guess people just don't invite other people over to play games anymore. It's really sad to see. Just like it's a commentary on like our desocialization of the world. Like we don't have people over to play games anymore. That's sad to me. Like I love being in the moment and playing against somebody in person rather than strangers who's like, yeah, you suck, get off the computer. Now, granted, people might say that to me in person, and they have, but I'd rather it happen in person with a friend than with someone I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Like, where are the 2-player in-person games? Main Street Studio says game dev pushed Google to put that Dragon Jump game. Ashish says, how about Unreal Tournament? Antonio says web strategy games are on the rise. So here's my question for you watching in the chat or people active in the chat. Where do you go for your games? Like, where do you play your games? Are you like a desktop? Are you PC gamer? Are you console? I don't play the last. Or are you a phone person, smartphone gamer? Where's your go-to? Where do you get your games? Not GameStop. Well, maybe GameStop. I don't think the reason they didn't want to shut down. This is my theory, and I'm not the only one. This is not a crackpot theory. I'm not the only one. The reason they didn't want to shut down during the Rona, they claim they're an essential business. Like, do you see me looking over my glasses right now? I don't buy it. Essential business. Seriously? So they finally closed down because of the Rona. The reason they didn't is because they're not going to have the funds to open back up. That is the theory I'm subscribed to. They're so broke. The way they treat their people, the way they just do business is pretty skeezy. And there's so many other places to buy games anyway. Now, not to completely hate on them because I have solicited. I have gone into their stores. I don't know if I've ever bought anything. And maybe what do they call those things? Maybe a Funko Pop for my sister or something, but I don't really think I've ever bought a game there. So let me see where you guys are getting your games at. What do you guys do? Main Street Studio says PC and mobile. PCs, I use Steam. Manas Sarma says Nintendo Switch focused on 1v1 games, I guess. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. Stats Boss says Brawl Stars on mobile is fun also. Ryan says PC. Antonio, PC is on Steam and in browser. Red Rose Haas, PC. Stats Boss, Casino mobile games. Opayemi says Xbox Live. Zen Master is a PC gamer all the way. PC Master Race. Main Street PC. Opayemi Xbox. Paradoodly Do says, I just played Diablo 3 for the first time last year, and I agree with you. Baldur's Gate is my favorite. Dude, seriously, Baldur's Gate is so awesome. Ryan says Diablo 3 is one of my favorite games ever. Diablo 3 was awesome. I want to play that one again. That's what's interesting about game development too, developers, is that in a lot of these other, like, if you're doing web development and you're actually making a web app or a web page, a lot of times people will only visit it once. They're never going to return. But when it comes to a game, they're visiting it multiple times, dozens of times. They might even complete the entire thing and then start over. That's something that I think is unique about gaming, is that because of the non-linear nature of gaming, that there are different possibilities, that it keeps these things novel and unique. So you're just like, I already beat this game, but I want to play it again. How many times have I beaten the original Super Mario Brothers? Many times. How many times have I done like a speed run, even before those things even existed? Like, okay, how fast can I beat this game? How many times have I done that? Multiple. I still play it over and over. And even to this, I mean, that game is like 35 years old. And it's just a stone cold classic. You play it again and again. You can play it with friends. You can play it by yourself. You can play it when you're intoxicated. You can play it when you're so, like, any context. It's always a good time to play Mario Brothers. You can't say that about web apps, or you can't say that about websites. Like, is it always a good time to visit RealToughCandy.com? I'd like to think so, but I know that's not true. Like, my website is good for visiting under very specific conditions. Like, it's not the same with a game. Games are just, they're so versatile, and that novel, the reality of the novelty is keeping people coming back, and that the unpredictability of it, having to use a different strategy every time because these unknowns. There's going to be a killer turtle on the third block going up to that flag, but it might be you have to time it just right. Or there might be another one, or you kick the turtle shell the wrong way and now you're dead. Like, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. There are a lot of these variables. And games are just so compelling. Ugh, my mouth is so dry. Sorry, that probably sounded really weird. Mouth. Okay, I'm done being awkward with that. They're just so compelling. Games are awesome that way. And they're good. Going back to that, the 2-player thing, the 2-person in-person game thing, they're good for socialization. Back in the day, how many people have an arcade near their area? I am so lucky. I have an arcade near me, like de facto freaking arcade. We have old school, we have new school, we have like the ticket games, like they used to have at Circus Circus. It's something for everyone. And you want to know something? The place is packed. Like, every time I go there, it's freaking packed. You're waiting in line to play some of these games. Now, granted, some games, there's never been a line for the Simpsons game, which, you know, take it however you will. So I'll go play the Simpsons or something. But some of these other games, we're like, oh my gosh, let's play this. It's such, they're so dynamic in that way. And they do bring people together. They bring people out. They bring people together for a common cause. And in 2020, that's a hard freaking thing to do. It's hard enough getting someone's attention. Everyone's trying to get your attention. And to have a place where 100 strangers can congregate and have fun for 3 and 4 hours, that's like, you just don't see that. And that's where it's just like the magic of games. There's just so many great ones. Antonia says, I play Half-Life 2 since 2004. Yeah, I mean, some of these old school games, Fallout, like a lot of the newer games that people talk about have a rich history. Unreal, the original Unreal. Oh my gosh, I used to play that before school. I used to play Unreal before school to get my anger out. Some people are like, oh, games are going to rot your brain. They make you horrible. Like, listen, some of these games I played for stress relief. High school sucked for me. And having a chance to play Unreal, I was just able to like focus and take my anger out playing that game. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Main Street says, who's missing Contra? Battletoads, Zen Masters. Now we're talking. IT Metames says, hello, I hope everything's fine for you. I really like your background. Thank you. I hope everything's fine for you too, IT. This is the Fish Fry Friday background. And yeah, I don't know what more to say about that. They're just little peaceful fish swimming around. Ina Hagji says, no matter what, I am so happy with Godot and C++. Much love from Mogadishu, Somalia. Keep up the good work, Candy. I got something for you, Ina. Somalia toso, toso, da-da-da, Soran. Did I get it right? Did I just completely embarrass myself? Probably the second one. All right, developers. It's 5:30 in my neck of the woods. I have to go get some stock footage for RealToughCandy.io. Again, that's my new platform dropping. One of the benefits is royalty-free photos, videos, and music. And this weekend is going to be popping for that. So excited. If you are a longtime supporter, I got you covered. I'm going to be DMing you soon, one way or another, to get you hooked up with a discount or with something even better than that. As a token of my appreciation for your support all these years. I want to give a shout out to my channel members. We had a few of them in here today. Candace, Donovan. I don't know where the other are. Maybe a few others I'm missing. Sorry if I am. Thank you for your support. They have a little piece of candy next to their name, and they make this channel possible. My patrons, people like Sin, people like Jim, people like GTD. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a lot of patronage. Month after month, people bumping up their pledges in a serious way, people who have been patrons for years, people like Candace. Amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I seriously, I appreciate it. You're not only helping financially, but it's also a reminder that what we do when we have these talks, whether they're informal, like talking about these games, or something with a little more strategy, remind me that what we're doing is important and that we're helping people on their coding journey. That's all I'm trying to do at the end of the day. That's all I'm trying to do at the end of the day with this channel and everything we do in the Real Tough Candy Network. So thank you for letting me live my dream. I thank you so much. Developers, if you want to keep the conversation going, check out our Discord. Paradoodly-doo is our amazing moderator for today in the chat. She also can be found on the Discord. Check her out there. Thanks, Para, for all your help. That is about it. So I'm going to wrap this video up, okay? I'm going to be doing some timestamps, and then in about 20 minutes, we're going to be going public with the Fiverr video. And I want to hear your thoughts on it. Seriously, like the comments, I can't respond to all the comments. Unfortunately, I get so many, but I do read the comments, and your insights just they make this channel a lot better. So really interested to hear your thoughts on that. We're talking strategy with Fiverr, and I'm going to share an idea I have for making money on Fiverr, because here's a spoiler. It's super saturated. It's kind of like the game industry. It's very saturated. People think like, oh, it's an easy way to start. But once they get into it, it's not so easy. But there may be a way for you. We're going to talk about it in that video. As always, this is going to be an awkward goodbye because we're on Zoom. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank James for the super chats. Many more videos coming your way. RealToughCandy.io dropping in August. I don't know what else to say about that. Actually, I have a lot more to say about that, but we'll save it. Okay, I'm just going to sit here while this video catches up to YouTube, and I'll sign off.